Ever get that feeling? Like you've seen it all. Same headlines, same routines, same stuff, you know?
Yeah, that feeling. When everything's kind of dot surface level.
Exactly. It's like, come on, isn't there something more? And get this, turns out we're not the only ones.
Oh, really?
Big time. Whispers, little clues. Neighbors feeling that same restlessness. And they're not just sitting around, they're looking down.
Down.
Like,
literally, deep down. And what are they finding? Incredible stuff. Grottos, beautiful, unbelievable treasures, resources you wouldn't believe.
wow, it's like a whole hidden world right under our feet.
Right, even when you think everything's been explored, there's always more. So that's what we're diving into today. Underground exploration. We got our hands on this Imperial Miners rulebook, kind of like the Bible for this whole movement.
So like a deep dive into underground mining, but like the game version.
Exactly. We'll break it down, no jargon, just the good stuff, so you can see what all the fuss is about.
Sounds good. So what's the point of the game? What are you trying to do? Right to the point. Well, the goal is to become the best Imperial miner. Straight from the rulebook, goal of the game. And how do you win? Victory points, VP for short, 10 rounds, most VP at the end, you're the top miner.
10 rounds, huh? So you got to think long-term, plan your moves.
Absolutely. And it gets pretty detailed. You got 60 coin tokens, that's your cash down the mines, then 60 victory point tokens, those are how you win. But then you get into the cool stuff. 44 machine tokens? Sounds like upgrades to me.
Makes sense. Got to get those mines running efficiently.
Then there's 24 collapse tokens. Uh-oh, that doesn't sound good. And 40 cart markers. Guess that's how you haul the good stuff out.
Already sounds like there's a balance, right? Progress and risk. We're building up, but things could go wrong.
For sure. And then the core of it all, mine cards. 136 of them, 4 different levels. Deeper you go, more complex, probably more valuable too. Then we got 5 surface boards, I'm guessing that's your base camp, above ground operations. And to track your progress, 3 double-sided progress boards, different paths you can take.
So long-term strategy too, not just what you dig up next round.
Oh yeah, definitely. And then to throw some curveball, 18 event cards. You never know what's gonna happen.
Keeps you on your toes.
Yeah.
So you got all this stuff, but what are you actually digging for?
Right, down to the nitty-gritty. So you're mining for resources. Basic one is silver, worth 1 coin each. Then you got gold, big step up, 5 coins a pop. But then you get into the real gems, literally. Blue gems, each one gets you a VP. Green gems, those are nice 5 VP each. And the big prize, red gems, 10 VP apiece.
Okay, so you got balance getting rich with getting those victory points.
Exactly. Okay, so we got the gold, we got the loot, but how do we actually play? From rulebook to real mining, how does it work?
The game flows over those 10 rounds. Each round has 2 parts. First, the event phase, that's where things can get shaken up. And then the mine phase, that's where you do your digging, play cards, all that good stuff.
Okay, so first something happens, could be good, could be bad, then you get to work. But before we get into a single round, how do we even start? What's the setup?
First, you got to set the scene. 3 progress boards, double-sided, right in the middle. Those are your long-term goals. Then those 136 mine cards get sorted by level. Each level gets shuffled into its own deck, except level 4, those cards are all the same, so no shuffling there.
So you're saying right away, this game has some depth.
Oh yeah, tons of possibilities. Okay, then the 18 event cards get shuffled. You randomly pick 10 for this game. You don't use all of them, keeps things fresh.
Smart, every game's different. Okay, what else?
All the tokens, VP, coins, collapse, machines, cards, all laid out where everyone can reach them. Then each player picks a color, grabs a progress marker, and a surface board. Progress markers start at the bottom of the progress boards, and surface boards go right in front of you. That's your starting point, above ground.
Gotcha. Like your headquarters before you start digging.
Exactly. Then everyone draws 8 mine cards, specific mix of levels. You pick 4 to keep, that's your starting hand. But for your first game, it's a bit easier. You draw 6 and keep all of them, just to get you going.
Nice, ease you in. Okay, so now we're set up, got our cards. Let's talk about these mine cards. They seem pretty important. What do we need to know about them?
Each mine card has a bunch of info that tells you how to use it, when you can play it, what it does. Top left, you got the card's name, obvious, and its cost. Level 1 cards, those are free. Entry level digging, no cost.
You have to start somewhere.
Exactly. Level 2 cards, those cost 2 coins. Then level 3, those are interesting. Cost can be anywhere from 0 to 13 coins. Powerful cards, but you got to pay up.
So deeper you go, more expensive, more risk, more reward.
Exactly. And level 4 cards, those are free to play. Deepest level, very specialized, but might have other requirements. And some cards have effects that can make other cards cheaper, but never less than 0 coins.
Okay, so you got to be smart with your money. What else is on these cards?
Below the cost, you got the faction. Most cards belong to 1, sometimes 2, out of 6 factions. Each faction has its own style, its own thing it's good at. Some cards have no faction, those are just general mining stuff. Then, on the sides of some cards, you'll see these half cards. They're not worth points by themselves, but if you place your cards right, you can line them up and make a complete card. That's where those card markers come in. A completed card is worth 1 VP at the end of the game.
So you got to plan your mine layout, not just what cards you play.
Totally. And the most important part, most cards have 2 effects. When you play a card, you pick one of the effects to use, gives you flexibility. Some simple cards only have 1 effect though. And last but not least, each card shows its level, 1 to 4. That tells you where it goes in your mind. Level 1, closest to the surface. Level 4, way down deep.
Like different layers of your underground operation, gotcha. So we got our mine cards, we're set up. Now what about that event phase? What kind of stuff happens there?
Well, each round, someone's the active player. They draw the top event card, and that card can change things up for everyone.
So like a random event that everyone has to deal with?
Yep. Some effects happen right away. Those are immediate effects. Some change how mine cards work for the round. Those are features. And some happen at the end of the round. Those are end of round effects. And you got to follow the card's instructions as much as you can. Even if you can't do everything it says, you got to do as much as possible.
Sounds unpredictable. Got to be ready for anything.
Exactly. Then comes the main event. The mine phase. This is where everyone gets busy building out their own mines.
Okay, so everyone's digging at the same time. How does that work?
Everyone secretly picks a card from their hand, then everyone reveals at the same time. You got to pay the cost of the card in coins. If you can't play any card, like you're out of coins and all your cards cost something, you have to draw a level 1 card and play that.
So everyone gets to do something every round.
Yep. In fact, in the first round, everyone usually ends up playing a level 1 card because no one starts with coins.
Okay, makes sense. So you played your card, now what?
You got to place it in your mine. Level 1 cards, those go right below your surface board, closest to the surface. Level 2 cards have to go below level 1 card, and so on.
Like building a tower, but downwards.
Yeah, exactly. You can have as many cards as you want in a row at each level, but each card has to touch at least 1 card above it, or your surface board if it's a level 1 card.
Okay, so you're connecting the levels as you go deeper.
Exactly. When you place cards at level 2 or lower, they go halfway between the cards above and below. So each card can connect to up to 2 cards above it and 2 below it, like interlocking pieces.
Makes sense. Keeps the mind stable. What about those half cart symbols? Do those have to line up perfectly?
Nope. As long as the cards are next to each other, you can complete a cart later. It's the cards being next to each other that matters, not the pictures perfectly lining up.
Okay, so it's more about the connections than the visuals.
Exactly. So you placed your card. Now comes the fun part. You get to activate it and choose one of its effects. But that's not all. The card you activated also activates one card directly above it.
What? So one action can trigger a whole chain reaction.
Exactly. And it keeps going up, one card at a time, all the way to your surface board.
Wow, that's cool. So you get to use multiple cards with one action.
You got it. And when the chain reaction reaches your surface board, you get to choose and use one of its effects too, like a bonus for a well-connected mind.
Awesome. But wait, what if there are 2 cards above the one that's activated?
Good question. You can only pick one of them to keep the chain going up, so there's strategy even within the chain reaction.
Okay, so you got to pick the best path for your mind.
Absolutely. But remember, each card can only be activated once per round. Doesn't matter how, if it's been activated, it's done for the round.
Got it. So you can't just keep using your best cards over and over.
Nope. And one more thing. Your mind's your own. What happens in your mind doesn't affect other players' minds. Everyone's doing their own thing.
Okay, so we're cooperating in the sense that we're playing at the same time, but we're not directly affecting each other.
That's right. So we've talked about cards, placement, chain reactions. What about those different effects? Let's start with machines. What are those all about?
Machines, yeah. Basically, they're upgrades. Some card effects let you put machine tokens on your cards. You can have up to 3 on a single card.
Like making your cards even better.
Yeah, think of it like better equipment, more efficient processes, that kind of thing.
Makes sense. Okay, now for the scary ones. Collapse tokens. What happens with those?
Collapses, yeah, those can mess you up. Some cards make you take collapse tokens and put them on your cards. And here's the bad part. If you activate a card with a collapse token, you don't get to use its effect. You just discard the token, and the card does nothing.
Ouch. So it's like a temporary shutdown.
Exactly. And you can only have one collapse token on a card at a time. So some cards are powerful, but they come with a risk.
High risk, high reward, huh?
Sometimes. Now let's talk about carts. Remember those half cart symbols on the cards?
Yeah, the ones you can connect to make a full card.
Right. Some card effects let you put cart markers on your cards, but only if you have an incomplete card. That means you can see at least half a cart symbol between 2 cards that are next to each other. Once you put a cart marker there, it's a completed cart, and that's worth 1 VP at the end.
So you got to be strategic with your card placement.
For sure. And if you're supposed to put a cart marker down, but you don't have any incomplete cards, you just don't take them. No freebies.
Gotcha. So cards are good, but you got to work from them.
Yep. Now, sometimes you get to activate cards in a special way. That's called a special activation. Some card effects let you do this. You activate a card even if it's not part of a chain reaction.
Like a little bonus action.
Right. But remember, each card can only be activated once per round, no matter what.
Right. That rule stays.
Yeah, no exceptions. Now, how do you get more cards?
Got to keep that hand full, right?
Yeah, exactly. Some cards just tell you to draw cards. You can draw from any of the 4 main mind decks, but not the collapse deck. You draw 1 at a time, add them to your hand, but you can only have 8 cards in your hand at most.
So if you have too many, got to make some tough choices.
Yep. Discard down to 8. Now, collapse cards are different. You only get those from progress board effects or event card effects.
Interesting. So collapses are more like a consequence or a special reward.
I think so, yeah. Then there's the faction draw. If a card says to draw a card of a specific faction, like say a Scottish card, you pick one of the mind decks, any one, and reveal cards until you find one that matches the faction.
Like you're looking for a specific type of worker?
Exactly. You add that card to your hand, then shuffle all the other cards back into the deck. If you go through the whole deck and don't find the card you need, you shuffle it and pick a different deck to search through.
Smart. So you're guaranteed to find the card eventually.
Yep. And there's this any faction icon sometimes. That means you can do a faction draw for any faction you want.
Nice. Gives you some flexibility. Okay, what about those progress boards?
Right, the progress boards. Those are important. When a card says to advance, you get to move your progress marker on one of those boards. First time you advance, you can pick any board. After that, you gotta stick with the same board.
So your first choice is important, sets your path.
Absolutely. And as you move, you don't get the effects of the spaces you pass through. You only get the effect of the space you land on. And those effects can be anything. Coins, victory points, even collapse tokens.
Okay, so you gotta plan your route carefully.
Yep. Now, if you reach the very top of a progress board, you finish it, get a big reward, but then your marker has to go to the bottom of a different board. You can pick any board even when you finish before.
So you're always progressing, always moving forward.
Always. And you lose any extra movement you had. New board, fresh start.
Okay, we've talked a lot about playing the game. Now, how does it end? How do we figure out who wins? The game ends after the 10th and final event card, and you finish that last mind phase. Then, everyone adds up their points. You get points for your VP tokens, and 1 point for each completed card. Highest total wins.
Simple enough. But what if there's a tie?
Good question. First, you check who has more coins left, still tied. Then whoever has more machine tokens in their mind wins. And if, by some miracle, you're still tied, well then you both win. Shared victory.
Makes sense. Every little bit counts. Now, the rulebook mentions solo play. Is it much different?
Actually, no. The rules stay the same. You're just playing by yourself, trying to get the highest score you can. They even have an achievement table, so you can see how you stack up.
Nice. So you can still enjoy the game even if you don't have anyone else to play with.
Exactly. Okay, before we wrap up, let's talk about those factions. We've mentioned them a bit, but what makes them different?
Right, the factions. Each one has its own style, its own way of playing. It's like picking your mining strategy. So first up, the Scots. They're all about money.
The thrifty ones, eh?
That's them. Their cards are strong, but they cost a lot. But here's the catch. For every other Scottish card in your mine, their cards get cheaper to use.
So the more Scottish cards you have, the better they get.
Exactly. It encourages you to specialize, build a strong Scottish engine in your mine. Then you have the barbarians. They're all about taking risks.
Sounds a bit chaotic.
A little bit. They use a lot of collapse tokens. Their cards are powerful, but they could backfire. Some of their cards even let you get rid of collapse tokens or give you bonuses for having them.
Interesting. So they turn a negative into a positive.
Yep, high risk, high reward.
Huh.
Then you got the Egyptians. They're all about those progress boards.
The long-term planners.
Yep. Their cards help them move on the progress boards, and a lot of their effects depend on where they are on the board. They're thinking ahead, aiming for those big milestones.
Steady and strategic.
Exactly. Then you got the Japanese. They're all about diversity.
The inclusive miners.
Yeah. They get bonuses for having lots of different factions in their mind. They're like the ultimate team players, blending different styles.
So you got to be adaptable, open to anything.
For sure. Now, the Atlanteans, they're all about technology. Those machine tokens we talked about. They get a lot of them, and their cards get better the more machines they have.
So they build up their power over time.
Exactly. They start slow, but they can get really strong. And finally, the Romans. They're all about efficiency and organization.
The engineers of the underground.
Yeah, you could say that. They get bonuses for specific card arrangements, lots of completed carts, that sort of thing. They even have some cards that let them place cart markers directly.
So they're really good at squeezing every last point out of their mind.
For sure. And before we forget, shout out to the creators of this game, Tim Armstrong, Hannah Cook, Matez Kopach, and everyone at Portal Games. Awesome job. And the rulebook even has info on customer service and where to find updates online.
Always good to see that. They care about the game and the players.
Absolutely. Well, that was quite a deep dive. We covered a lot: how to play, the strategy, the factions. This Imperial Miners game is more than just digging for gems. You gotta manage your resources, plan your mine, deal with collapses, and make sure those cards are rolling out full of treasure.
Yeah, there's a lot going on. But it all fits together so well. The card placement, the chain reactions, the factions, the progress boards. It's all connected. Makes you think about every decision.
And that's what's so cool about it. So many different ways to play, so many paths to victory. As you've been listening, have you thought about what kind of miner you would be? Would you be a risk taker like the barbarians, a planner like the Romans, or maybe something else entirely?
Yeah, what kind of empire would you build beneath the surface?
And think about it this way. What treasures are hidden in your own life, waiting to be discovered? Maybe it's time to start digging a little deeper.